good, y'all? Cool Jerome here. I'm working my way through 1001 albums you must hear before you die, and the 22nd one is Birth of the Cool. Birth of the Cool is a compilation album and 27th release by legendary band leader, jazz musician Miles Davis, released in February of 1957. Now, I am very new to jazz. I just started listening to jazz with my weather report review a few videos ago, so anything I say in this review, take it with a grain of salt. Understand it's coming from a complete beginner's perspective, a total noob. I don't really know anything about the genre. I don't know anything about Miles Davis. I don't know anything about cool jazz, bebop, any of the sub-genres. It's all fresh to me. So I'm going to come at this from sort of just a music enjoyer's perspective, just talk about the parts that I liked, the parts that stood out to me, and I hope you can appreciate it for what it is. So what first stood out to me was how many members were in the band. It's a nonette. There's 9 people on every single song, and it's the exact same lineup on every single song too, at least instrumental wise. While the members on each track vary as sort of a revolving door of musicians, the lineup remains consistent. Miles Davis is always playing the trumpet, but besides him, we have 6 other melodic instruments and 2 instruments in the rhythm section. So let me break it down real quick. We got trumpet, Davis, trombone, French horn, tuba, alto saxophone, baritone saxophone, piano, and then bass and drums. There's a lot happening here. There's a lot of moving parts, and it would be very easy to get lost amongst the madness. But Miles is a fantastic composer, a fantastic band leader, and he's able to pull off this sound extremely convincingly. I feel like 9 people could have sounded bloated or overwhelming, but this approach in this context, with these members, with this band leader, with Miles Davis, it just makes sense, and it's beautiful what they're able to pull off. The songs are awash in polyphony. There's so many band members that oftentimes you have more than one instrument playing the same melody. Sometimes you'll have multiple instruments harmonizing with each other, forming a chord like you would hear on a strum of a guitar, but it's just 2 saxophones, a trumpet, a trombone, and they create this very, very deep texture. Sometimes they use polyphony to create this droning sound, sort of like a UFO floating close to the ground. This very long, drawn out, with multiple instruments really playing off of each other. It's very ominous in practice. You hear this descending chord progression on Moonlight Dreams that has exactly what I'm talking about, and it's very ominous, very foreboding, and towards the end when it starts to develop even more, when it descends deeper and deeper and deeper, the other instruments start to sort of float away from the main chord progression. They start to trail off. It feels like the song is really falling apart. It gives the listener this sense of loss to intentionally take the listener down this winding path and drop them in this melodyless abyss. It's very effective in practice, and it was just very, very interesting stuff. I found this song very fascinating. The rhythm section is absolutely vital in this nonette. When you have 7 melodic instruments, you need a really strong rhythm section to lay down the foundation you need to build on top of. We wouldn't be able to have these really deep, immersive, polyphonic sections if it wasn't for the consistent drums taking us to that moment, making sure we arrive there comfortably. The bass has this sort of walking, evenly spaced note feel to it. A lot of the time we have just quarter note after quarter note after quarter note going up and down the scale, like bum 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 bum, and it really drives the song forward. Like I said, it's walky. It feels like a stroll. It feels like this is what's giving the song most of its upbeat context. This is what's really lifting your spirits during the album. Is this really consistent bass, and it's supported by these very cool, underpronounced drums. They're very hat heavy, really hissy, if that makes sense, like So we have the drums hissing, and we have the bass walking, and after that, we have the horns doing whatever they feel like. And I feel like this is the beauty of cool jazz. This is what really makes it tick, at least for this album in my very limited experience. It was this formula that really gave me the context and the understanding I needed to appreciate everything else that was happening. Because the drums and bass were so consistent, I was able to really focus on what was going on with Miles Davis and what was going on with the saxophone player. These are some really impressive virtuosic musicians doing impressive virtuosic things. And if the album was watered down with drum solos, then I feel like I wouldn't have appreciated Miles Davis's composition as much. Miles himself is an absolute workhorse on this album. He's not necessarily the centerpiece of every song. He allows the other instrumentalists to solo, to develop the melodies on their own. But when he is playing, it's obvious, it's impressive, it's clean, it's concise. He never overperforms. He never overshadows any of his contemporaries, but he also never underperforms. He's always just right, just always on time, always catchy, very consistent. He was holding all the songs together, and it's no surprise that a band leader with this much conviction, with this much sure-headedness was able to pioneer an entire genre. The structure of these songs is pretty simple. It was very comforting after I got a little bit more understanding of the genre. After the second or third listen, I was able to sort of predict what was going to happen next, and that really helped me appreciate what was happening as it was happening. Each song starts with sort of like this attention-grabbing intro where either they introduce the melody or they start to introduce it, or they lay the foundation for the melody to come next. And then after the intro, we just have this collection of solos. Sometimes we all come back together after a solo to sort of rehash the main melody, to add some variation, to pick up the energy a little bit, but for the most part, it's just solo after solo after solo, each instrument fading into the rhythm section when a new one gains the forefront. And it was really cool. It was really interesting to hear musical expression in this sense, not in a, oh, I'm making some catchy lyrics, I'm making a commercially successful hit, and you guys are going to sing it back to me sense, but more so in a, I'm playing cool music, and you want to hear cool music, so here's some cool music, now listen to the cool music. I really enjoy instrumental music for this reason, where you can just get lost in everything that's making the music work, rather than end up being distracted by what the singer's trying to tell you, or by what the label was trying to get you to feel. I feel like this sort of musical expression is very important. All in all, Birth of the Cool is just a plain good time. I really enjoyed this album. It really broadened my horizons on what's possible with polyphony, what's possible with harmony, what's possible when you have 9 different musicians on every single song. It really widened my perspective on what large bands are capable of musically. I would recommend this album to composers. Like I said, there's a lot to learn about harmony and polyphony here. And I would recommend this album to people who enjoy instrumental music, people who need to put something in the background or really study something, or really hone in on something. Some songs that stood out to me were Move and Moon Dreams. All in all, I'm going to have to give this album an 8 out of 10.
Respect.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like if you appreciate what I had to say. That really helps me out. Let me know what you thought about the album in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my Saturday video. Until then, peace.